To some, this short cinematic might be just another video on YouTube, but for me it represents way more. It is a step forward into my craft. It is about overcoming challenge, working with a small team with incredible actors, and managing the pressure of my first paid sponsorship. I've always wanted to create something medieval, but for some reason I didn't add any courage to do it. Until a few weeks ago when I woke up and told to myself, you know what, stop overthinking, just do it. And then, as if the universe agreed, Motion Array just reached me out and asked me if I was in to work with them with the new voiceover feature. Everything felt into one place, like the star line. With the sponsorship confirmed, I directly dived into the pre-production and gave myself just a week to bring everything together. So the story was clear in my mind. I wanted a dramatic love letter, a knight leaving his wife to go to war, and I wanted to feel some devotion, some sacrifice, and some fleeting moments. Casting the knight and his wife was difficult because I didn't add any contacts to call or just to reach. So what I did, I just posted an Instagram story, and well, Marina just responds. But you might be wondering, who is Marina? Well, she is a fantastic actress and she's also a fantastic director on a new movie called Orlamp. She directed with his boyfriend, Titouan, that play a knight into this movie. So it was a perfect combo because they were fully dedicated to it. With the cast in place, the next challenge was to have all the wardrobe. So I reached out a really talented costume designer here where I live, Marie Raphael, and she did a miracle. She crafted the entire dress from scratch only in 4 days. It was stunning. Every detail felt authentic to the medieval era I wanted to bring into AM. For this project, I had 5 distinct phases, each with its own mood and location. The departure at a majestic castle where I live, some action and reflection into a forest, the dream in his mind at the top of a mountain, and the opening at the church with the horse, and of course the final breath when he's dying. Each location had a lot of complication and challenge to add because it was really far and complicated to reach. But you know what, let's dive into day one, the castle. We started our journey at the Château de Polignac. It is a high castle at the top of a hill. I scouted this location a week prior, dreaming of the perfect sunrise breaking through the cloud and the sunny weather. But on shoot day, the entire area was wrapped into this thick haze and cloud.
Et vous voyez, enfin,
Ouais. Incroyable.
Et je voulais vraiment choper ce mood comme ça là.
Oui. Normal.
C'est le seul moment un peu heureux de la vidéo en fait, c'est avant qu'ils partent quoi.
Ouais.
Et parce que le reste, si dans les bois du Seigneur et tout, ça va être quand même être assez sombre normalement au vu du temps. Et du coup, je me disais que là, bon c'est pas grave après, mais
il y a un truc quand même en vrai.
Oui, non mais oui.
So I was disappointed, but then I realized that the haze gave something really moody to the scene, mysterious but dramatic and perfect for the vibe.
So we are in the first spot with this huge castle in a little village in France. We are going to shoot the first scenes with the knight and the lady before he's leaving to war. Everything is shot with a set of anamorphic from Laowa, the Nanomorph, from 27 to 50 millimeters, but it is APS-C, so in full frame it is way much cropped. And in terms of gear, we are going to use not that much, because at first I was going to plan to use some lights, to use a lot of different stuff. I just take a rent on this GVM 600, but it is not really useful right now because the sun is really out and it is blowing everything. So the main gear we are using for the light is this huge diffuser. So everything is made with this cheap silk, and it did pretty well because the sun is really high. I guess it just took away like one stop of light, so it's perfect.
We began to shoot with the wide shots, fully embracing the natural light to capture all the majesty of the castle in the area. All those wide shots helped to give some really dramatic feeling, seeing the knight and the lady approaching together, and it is really mysterious, somber, and you know that something dramatic is happening even if there is a touch of romanticism into it. But as the sun started breaking through, the shadow became really harsh and the mood totally changed. So I switched directly to the 55mm and 50mm for a closer shot. Like that I was able to put a 6x6 diffuser to soften the light and make the portrait of the night feel intimate and cinematic.
Enfin, c'est vraiment du regard, parce qu'en plus juste avant on vous voit tous les deux, quitte à te rapprocher pendant ce plan-là, tu sais. Ouais. En fait, je ferai des cuts entre le.
Je regarde par exemple, je regarde un peu les mains.
Oui, c'est ça, voilà, c'est vraiment du.
D'abord son champ.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Tu veux que j'ai le mouvement vers elle? Ou direct on démarre comme ça?
Démarre au début sans forcément être contre elle.
We took some really great shots that didn't went into the final version. Because in my opinion, those shots would have just extended too much the cinematic and it would have cut the dynamic of it. And that's how we wrap the morning. Yes. But the real challenge lay ahead. Le Mont Mézin, towering at 5,751 feet. With all our heavy gear and the knight's armor, the climb was hell. It felt like an adventure like the Lord of the Ring. But once we reached the top, we couldn't use most of the equipment because the wine was absolutely insane. So we had to adapt and rely on minimal setup.
So here we are in the second spot at the top of a mountain called Mont Mézin. Everything in the scene takes place when the knight is dying and thinking about his wife and lady, and he's like in a sort of mind where he's seeing her, but of course she's not here. Everything is happening in his mind. So we didn't add a lot of time to shoot it because the sunset was only 30 minutes, so it was only a short window. So we don't took a lot of gear, just the set and the anamorphic with the sun behind, and that's it. I missed a lot of shots, even with the focus myself. I did a lot of errors, but I don't have any time to reshoot it because, like you can see, after only 35 minutes, it is already dark. So for other scenes, we changed the dress for the actor because with the wind, we really tried to work with all the fluid and all the movements that the drape and the cape can do to have this sweet slow motion. Even in post-production, I will put a lot of clarity and I will decrease the sharpness to really have the big contrast between the reality and his mind.
My vision of this sequence was deeply inspired by a talented filmmaker I am following on Instagram called Tyler Palmer. He created the stunning scene of a knight crawling out of the ocean, desperately trying to reach his lady, and I wanted to create my own interpretation of it. But it was a real challenge for the actors, first of all because he was full of gear, trying to climb all those rocks. It was really hurting his knee and everything, so we tried to be really efficient.
T'accroches à elle, c'est vraiment, tu la serres, son visage contre son ventre en gros.
And of course, Marina, the actress, was really freezing outside because really you can't imagine how the wind was cold. You can see it in the rush, but she did an amazing job. And of course, Titouan did an amazing job too with his armor on the rock.
Action. Soleil dans les yeux un petit peu. Voilà, nickel là.
And well, that's how we wrap up the day one. During all the cinematic, you can hear the woman's voice delivering a final words to the knights, a deeply emotional speech, with the new service by Motion Array, the AI voiceover. For those unfamiliar with Motion Array, it is a comprehensive platform for creatives, offering over 2 million assets including motion design, templates, sound effects, stock footage, music, and now this incredible AI voiceover feature. But what's special about this voiceover tool is the ability to customize every details, choosing from hundreds of voices, adjusting tones to dramatic, to sober, to intense, energize everything, and even setting the pace.
Do not fear the end, my love.
Let the pain fade, let the struggle cease.
And as your body surrenders, I will be there to catch you.
To be completely honest with you, I was genuinely surprised by how natural and human-like the results were, with subtle nuance in the voice like breathing and the intonation, sometimes with some pause, and everything is automatical and really fluid to do. This feature arrived at the perfect time to me, and it fit really well into my workflow. I simply wrote the text, adjusted the setting, and within a minute it was ready to drop into my timeline. I can confidently say that this tool elevated my cinematic from a whole new level, and I'm excited to see how they will refine it even in the future. It will become even better. Oh, and by the way, you can have $50 off with the annual plan just by clicking the link in my description, so check it out. But for now, let's dive into day 2, where the real magic began to unfold, the forest. We started really early in the morning with a torch sequence. The shots were meant to create a strong visual contrast with the daylight scenes, symbolizing the knight being pulled apart in the dark after leaving his wife. Initially, I planned for really pitch black scenes, but well, I did a mistake. The timing ended up at the blue hour. But by using the natural contour of the rock and the cave into this forest, the mix of the blue and the orange tones created something really unexpected and really visually appealing. Making the torch was surprisingly easy. All t-shirts wrapped around wooden sticks and dipped in melted candles. Each torch burned for about 15 minutes, giving us a total of 30 minutes to nail the scenes. And that's where having a solid storyboard with a shot list became crucial. And of course, safety first, we had an extinguisher on standby just next to us. So we stuck with natural light here, partly due to the time constraint and because the natural contrasts were really good. I move into the shot, heavily inspired by the king. This frame captures the calm and stress before the battle, the knight's last moments of reflection. I took a 600 watts with a large softbox as backlight, softly hitting the right side of the face. A 250 light with a 5-in-watt diffuser and a spotlight to add some reflection on the armor, because like that it is way more visual. In the background, we add another 250 watts light to add some depth into the scene, and on the left side of the face, we add some negative, just to enhance the contrast on the face because it was bouncing everywhere. And this setup stays the same for both mid and close-up shots to maintain consistency. Next came the dynamic shots, which were a mix of chaos and creativity. For the escape running sequence, the setup was, well, improvised. Imagine lugging a 20-kilo generator with a 600 light watts and a softbox, all while running on a non-flat surface. But for a quick 3-second shot, it added the right amount of energy into the sequence. But the real highlight was the POV shots. It was about showing the raw violence and the chaos of war. We shot all the scene into a middle of needles. Yes, needles, my hand is still hurting from this. Keeping the camera steady for that immersive POV shots. A bit of motion blur and some effect in post, and you have your perfect POV shots. Simple coordination, no extra actor, a pure gift. And yeah, that's war, baby.
Casque! Casque!
And that's how we closed the morning before climbing a giant rock to go inside the church. For this project, I had the incredible opportunity to shoot inside a stunning chapel called Le Rocher Saint-Michel. It is perched at the top of an ancient volcanic rock, and just seeing that is, wow, it is crazy. But it is as crazy as climbing 268 stairs with all our gear. Like the Mont Mézin, but even worse, in my opinion, because I had the generator on the back. The scenes in the chapel were planned exclusively for the opening of the cinematic. When I did the scouting, well, it was bright and a sunny day, so the sunlight was streaming through the stained glass, and it was really perfect, really magical. But, of course, in my luck, on the day of the shot, it was cloudy and really dark. I had to come up with a solid lighting setup to transform the near darkness into something visually and soft appealing. Those scenes were really critical for me, not just because they kick off the cinematic and set the tone, but also because filming inside a church is such a rare privilege. So I wanted to make the most of it in this short time window because we only had like 4 hours to do. Here is how I create this setup. For the key lights, I took the 600 watts. With a big softbox in a double diffusion. But to maximize the softness and the diffusion, we took my 6x6 frame just to put in front of the light. And I still wanted to have those light beams, those light tray, so we added my 250 watt spotlight next to the 600, creating those really beautiful light rays with some smoke and haze. On the left side, we use the pivot tube to lift up the shadows and introducing warm candle glow lights. And as the ambient fill for room tone, we bounced a 200 watts off the ceiling using a barn door to control the spread and not having it everywhere. We went from an almost pitch black chapel to a setup that felt warm, inviting and dramatic, all while keeping the natural elegance of the location intact. And we use this setup for the wall scene into the chapel, for the mid and even the close-up. We just slightly change specific stuff for specific shot. For example, for the night close-up, we just added a negative flag to boost the contrast on the left side. And for the lady, Marina, when she's walking behind him, we just use a pivot tube in the background to lift her out the shadows. For the whole sequence, I decided to stick with static candle shots, just to have a really calm pace before the big rush of the cinematic, like taking a big breath before the running phase. I wasn't sure about doing this really calm pace at first because, you know, these days with social media we tend to have a lot of energetic image at first just to keep, you know, the attention and the retention. But I decided to don't go into the space and just let me have time to tell my story and set the tone. And here we are, the final day of shooting, the horse sequence. It was my first time filming with a horse, so I had a mix of excitement and apprehension, but I was particularly nervous about the weather and the location because I didn't been able to do a proper scouting and the horse wasn't a trained cinema horse, so I didn't know how he would react to the actor riding it or following his direction on set. But when we arrived, things got immediately complicated because the wind was terrible, like a lot.
On va faire tranquille. En fait, tu vas faire une charge tu vas faire un peu une charge au ralenti. Enfin, tu sais, en gros, tu marches et genre juste tu sors ton épée avant de faire la charge, tu sais. Genre. Ouais, parce que là, tu n'y arriveras pas, je pense. Il est déjà 10h30.
Which made it hard to control the situation, and of course the horse was understandably uncomfortable. We didn't want to push it into any position that might cause distress, so we knew that we needed to work quickly and adapt all of the shortlists. And of course, the location presented another challenge because we didn't get any authorization to film into the large open field that we had initially planned, so we had to work into a really smaller field to capture everything. So yeah, it changed all the plan. And of course, something that we didn't took enough consideration was the camera setup, because we mounted the ring into a gimbal, but we didn't add any focus pulling system because we don't have any budget. So maintaining a sharp focus while running alongside the horse and framing the shot was a massive challenge. Originally, the horse was supposed to be featured in several sequences. The contemplative shots with the knight preparing to leave, so this one we added, but a lot of wide shots of the knight riding across a vast field and doing some charge for a battle was planned, but of course we didn't add the possibility to do it. This is why we tried to add this mid close-up shots at slow motion just to, you know, to fill the gap. But well, this kind of stuff can happen on set, and it even worse with animal, because you have to take consideration of course the health, the time and everything, and obviously it is normal. But yeah, I didn't add all those constraints and stuff in my mind at first, so it is really a good experience to have on a personal project like that, to not have the same on a professional one. But we still managed to get some solid shots, even if they weren't exactly what I had at first. Everything was shot with natural light, both for practical and to maintain authenticity. Around the same location, we filmed the final sequence, the night death scene. My original plan for this scene fell through because of some unexpected visitor.
Allez, on recule, mesdames, vous êtes belles, mais on ne vous voit pas dans le champ. Allez, oui, de père en fils, je suis berger.
So we quickly found another area with the same tone and this lawn trees that frame the shot beautifully, keeping the focus on the knights that kneeling and dying. To create the illusion of him dying with all the arrows piercing the night, we keep it simple. I just ordered some basic arrows on Amazon, I just cut them in half and I insert them into the chainmail directly. Combined with the right camera angles, some diffusion to soften the light and a negative fill to add some contrast, it solves the effect perfectly. And there you have it, guys, that's how we brought this medieval cinematic to life. It was an incredible project made possible by an amazing team and cast. They did everything they could and we can feel it through the screen. And once again, a huge thanks to Motion Array for their voiceover service, which truly elevates the project. And to be honest, without their support, it wouldn't have been possible to bring this vision to reality. So thank you again everyone, even you that are watching the project and this BTS. And until next time, folks, keep creating.